beyond evil, beyond your wildest imagination.
Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Oh, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
Hello and welcome to the 25 Days of ToonCast Beyond Christmas here on ToonCast Beyond on the Geekcast Radio Network, the first annual Christmas special series replacing ToonCast Classic, episode 30, the holiday show. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me through the interwebs, of course, as always in Michigan, there is in the blizzard-facing Michigan, so it's kind of great here that we have this Christmas special in December, and in Michigan right now, there's like 10 feet of snow. We have Steve Megatron. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, there's not 10 feet of snow. We're supposed to get 10 inches on Saturday, so yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, we're supposed to have rain on Friday.
And 75 degrees.
That doesn't make me feel better.
No, it'll be more like 60, but yeah, we're supposed to have rain.
Hey, 60 degree and rain is better than 20 below in snow. All right, so as you can hear, Doug Abel is here from Talking About My Generation, as always. Hello,
I
sir.
better be. It's my own damn house.
Yeah. So, in case anyone hasn't noticed, I'm on vacation currently. I didn't get a chance to record all 25 days of the ToonCast Beyond 25 Days of Christmas before I headed up to California to see my fiance Jen, hang out with my buddy Doug, and we are actually recording live from his Ghetto Cast radio studio here. And
yeah, there's a lot of eye rolls and finger flips.
Uh-huh. Well, there was a lot of finger flips before we started this. But yes, 25 days to you guys beyond Christmas. This is day 21, and this is where we are going to be talking about Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This came out in... when did this
66.
Ooh.
Yeah, along with Batman.
This thing is 50 years old. Wow. All right, so How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the animated TV special, is 50 years old this year. I'm pretty sure all three of us know about this, and I'm sure all three of us grew up watching this. Steve, correct. When was the first time that you saw this as a kid?
Early on, I think, because my family kind of gravitated towards the older content like this. So it wasn't abnormal for me to know about something like this. So like any of the old animation, any of the old claymation, any of that kind of Christmassy content, it was like a tradition to watch when it came on, I believe, like, I want to say it came on like Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Typically. And I mean, they didn't have like the 25 days of Christmas like they do now, but yeah, I think I recall watching it on something similar to that, though. Probably when I was like 5 or 6.
Very cool, very cool. What about you, Doug? When did you first see How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
God, I want to say I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and my mom turned on CBS and said, "Here, sit down and watch this." And I went, "Okay." And I remember watching it and being completely fascinated and going, "Wow, this looks a lot like Tom and Jerry." I mean, the artwork. And I remember thinking that at 8 years old, it was just kind of like, "Okay, well, that's fine, Mom, thanks." I loved it at the time. You know, my family always just kind of, my mom just said, "Here's the Christmas special, sit down and watch them," and away I went.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the same kind of thing like with Doug. I mean, this was just a staple. I don't even remember when. I mean, I maybe remember seeing this when I was 6, so 30 years ago. So, this was just one of the main 4 or 5 Christmas staples for me. That was kind of the point, again, as I've mentioned in the last 20 days here on ToonCast Beyond, that started out this new special thing here with the 25 Days of ToonCast Beyond Christmas where some of it was good, some of it was bad, some of it was what the hell, kind of like Neil and I trying to talk about the Space Ghost Christmas special. Oh my god, that was weird. But when I originally planned all this out, it was going to be Charlie Brown, Grinch, Grandma. Day 23 got changed around a little bit, and then day 24 and 25 are going to be Frosty and Rudolph. And no, not Christmas in July. That's next year. So, for me, this was just always a staple. This was always this guy, this green guy living in a cave on a mountaintop wanting to cancel Christmas. And you know, I don't even remember if, as a kid, I had any real grasp of what the story was going to turn into. Like, I just assumed he was going to be the villain of the piece and he wasn't going to have any kind of redemption qualities or anything like that. Doug, what was your thing with it when you were a kid? Did you, like, other than just watching it and enjoying it, did you have any feelings about it, or did you know where the story was going to go?
Well, I knew kind of where it was going to go. I knew that the Grinch was going to end up, coming around and saving Christmas because, it just had to happen somehow, that somebody was going to save Christmas. And I always thought, okay, who's it going to be? But I always hated the Grinch because I thought he was mean and nasty and he looked ugly. I know that sounds horrible, but that's always what I thought of him.
Mm. What about you, Steve? What were your initial feelings, if you can remember that far back, as far as the story, how the story goes and how it progresses?
The fact that he was creepy, and wasn't sure if he was supposed to be the one that, saved Christmas or not. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't, like I said, I kind of wasn't sure what to expect with it, being a kid and kind of like, okay, is this, this weird green guy that's slithering around people's houses stealing stuff, but I don't know how he's going to actually come into play, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't sure either. I knew he was going to steal Christmas from, the people down in Whoville, and I'd always known about Cindy Lou Who and all that stuff and everything else as a kid, and I think for me, throughout the whole piece, even when the Grinch goes good, still the character I felt the most sorry for was Max. That dog went through a whole crap ton of stuff at Christmas time.
Oh God, yes. Having to have the antler that was cut onto his head and having to pull the sleigh with all the 50,000 pounds of everything that was on there.
Yep.
So what you're saying is the Grinch is a dick.
Essentially, yes, he was.
Dude, you're a dick.
Dude, you're being a dick. Kind of like the dude, you're getting it down.
Oh, why would anyone want her?
It could have been worse.
You've been hanging out with Dodd too much while I've been gone,
I haven't
haven't
been hanging out with Dodd at all.
you? So, yeah, for anyone that missed my part of the dude, you're getting Adele joke, I'm like, why would anyone want her?
Adele, nice.
Oh, come
I
on.
didn't catch that.
I don't
That
think
was over my head.
she's that bad.
Her voice is, oh my God, it's like nails on a chalkboard. That's a discussion for another day, though.
That's why you drink scotch.
Every time she sings, take a drink. You'll get drunk in less than 5 seconds. All right, so How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Everybody should know this by now, but basically the Grinch, as I already said, hates Christmas. He wants to ruin Christmas for everybody, and it comes to find out that whether they have stuff or not, that, Christmas comes anyway. He took all their Christmas trees, he took all their hams and roast beasts and everything else, and took all the candy canes and all the Jim Jobblers and Jublers and whatever else, and mint juleps and who knows and whatever. And
No. Mint juleps are for Kentucky.
yeah, I know, right? I had to throw that in there somewhere.
Hey, Theodore Geisel, he grew up. He actually lived here in San Diego, right down the coast in La Jolla. That was where he lived when he died.
For those that don't know, he's talking about Dr. Seuss.
Yep, Theodore Geisel. He actually has a library down there at UCSD.
The Dr. Seuss library?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes. the Theodore Geisel library is down there. It's pretty cool looking.
Awesome. Yeah. What I love about this special is it just goes to show you how one person can change as other people affect him or her. and that it's a story of a guy that just wants to hate Christmas, but it's because he lives alone. The only person he has with him is his dog Max, and he treats his dog Max worse than anything else. But as the story progresses, we see him changing and, whatever else. And of course, the animation. I mean, this is Chuck Jones at his finest. It really, really is. And that's probably one of the reasons why someone, I think it was either you, Steve, or you, Doug, I forget which one of you guys said, oh, it reminds me of Tom and Jerry. Chuck Jones did a series run on Tom and Jerry. Steve, going back, and I know that you've told me off air that your TV watching habits, cartoon watching habits have changed because you and your wife now have 2 children and all that and everything else. Is this something you're going to show your kids and teach them the difference between being negative and being positive, or is this something that you guys are going to avoid with the kids?
See, for Christmas, it's a little touchy because we're still kind of deciding. And then,
okay.
The kid's seen this one and the live action one, and he knows that what the Grinch does is wrong.
Right.
But I don't know if we're going to continue with watching. So, I remember it. The thing about me with animation is, and anything I've watched in the past, I remember the content so well that I don't have to necessarily watch it to remember it. For a refresher, unless it's like a television series, then I have a hard time. But, but like with this, like I don't really see us having I don't see myself introducing it to like Nolan, for instance.
Okay, so for those that may not know, Ian is how old and Nolan is how old?
Ian's 4 and Nolan is 1.5 years. Okay,
well, yeah, Nolan's a little young. But I'm saying, like, once, Ian gets a little bit older, and as you said, you'd already shown it to him, and maybe, it doesn't have to be a Christmas tradition every year that you show it to the kids, but I'm sure at Christmas time, because we all feel this way at some point or another every single year, we have to watch those classic Christmas specials like this, like Charlie Brown, like Rudolph and Frosty. I don't know of anyone out there that doesn't want to watch these for themselves, at some point during the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's like I always watch it on Freeform now. What used to be ABC Family, we would watch the 25 Days of Christmas, and this was one of those things that it always would air, and so we would sit there and watch it. And, I would see it 6 or 7 times in the span of that 25 Days of Christmas. And it was just, it's always fun to watch. I like it just because of what it is.
Absolutely. Now, Steve did mention the 2000 Jim Carrey film.
Which isn't terrible. Out of the different Dr. Seuss live action renditions, I can't complain about that one too much. I would much rather watch that. Yeah, that is like completely off limits for my kids because.
Oh, the Cat in the Hat.
Oh yeah,
that movie is horrible.
Yeah, it's like Mike Myers tries, but yeah,
it was just there's too many bad innuendos in there that I would never let my kid watch that. In fact, if it's on at somebody's house, I'm like, come on, let's find something to distract.
Yeah.
They brought Paris Hilton into that film, so that just say it all right there.
Well, and then the fact that, oh, you dirty little hoe, I still love you, and he's holding like a garden tool.
Yeah.
And then there's the part where he chops his tail off in an infomercial, and he's like, son of a, and then it goes like, so yeah, it's back to the Grinch.
So yes. The Grinch.
The superior film.
So superior film, the original TV special. The Jim Carrey one was all right. To me, it's basically Jim Carrey as the Mask in a full body mask suit.
That's an apt way of putting it. Yeah.
the sad thing is, right before we started this episode, folks, I went on Wikipedia to look at and I'm not even really reading or looking at from Wikipedia at all, but it's one of those things where I went to look up just general information to do a refresher and everything else. And even though I watched it today, I noticed that when I was searching Wikipedia, some of the search options that came up was Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2018 film. They are going to be making a new one of these things.
Oh yeah, I knew that was coming down the pipe. They wanted to redo the Grinch yet again to try and recapture a new generation without Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Do you want to know who's playing the Grinch?
Do I want to know? Is it Sacha Baron Cohen?
No.
That wouldn't surprise me.
No, it's Benedict Cumberbatch. It's Khan.
You mean the fake impression of Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah.
Yes. It's Dr.
You can't
Strange.
replace the original.
No.
It's like comparing. It's like when you eat off brand. I mean, it's not as good as the original.
Absolutely. Doug, what else do we want to say about the Grinch, the animated special, before we get the heck out of here?
Well, it had one of my favorite voices singing for the Grinch.
Yes.
Thurl Ravenscroft, uncredited, but he really should have credit for this because I loved his voice. I remember hearing his voice in The Sword and the Stone, and then when I came back and watched this, I went, "Oh my God, this is that guy from The Sword and the Stone," and I could totally hear it, and I love that. That and June Foray, Rocky from Rocky and Bullwinkle was the voice of Cindy Lou Who.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, uncredited, but I want to make sure that she gets recognition for that.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, I bet, and Doug will find this on his phone because I'm not looking at the computer right now. I bet they get Tara Strong to be the new Cindy Lou Who.
Ooh, that would be a good thing. I mean, all that they've announced for the new one is just Benedict Cumberbatch, but they haven't had anybody else yet. But I would love to see Tara Strong do the voice for Cindy Lou Who.
It would be great if June was, and again, I don't want to speak ill of someone who is, her age and whatever, but let's face it, she is how old she is. And unless they're working on the production for this now or in the next few months in 2017, I don't think she's going to come back as Cindy Lou Who. So if we can't get June Foray,
I don't think that they'll ask her to either.
Yeah, that's
modern Hollywood.
That's very true. Very, very true. Steve, any other final thoughts on the animated classic Grinch? Anything else you want to bring up that you liked or didn't like about it?
I love the soundtrack. Just because of how iconic it is. And then the fact that Tony the Tiger is singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're great.
That's fair. And then you got Boris Karloff narrating. Can't forget about that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was he the original Frankenstein? I forget. He was. I know he was a movie monster.
Yeah.
Universal.
It was that or
years.
Dracula.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for day 21. I know, as I've said on all these other ones, it's kind of short, but after all, it's Christmas time, and I'm on vacation, damn it. So I should have had all this stuff done beforehand, but whatever. Final verdict on the Grinch, 0 to 5 stars. Doug, what do you give it?
I got to give it a 5. I love this. It's Christmas.
Steve?
Out of all the Christmas movies I could watch, it's probably one of my favorite that I don't get sick of, so I'm going to give it a 5.
Same here. I absolutely love watch. It's a must-watch every single year for me, no matter where I am. I'll say this last year because it was the first year without my mom because she had passed away in May of 2015. Last year, I wasn't even sure if I was going to watch it because my mom wasn't here, but thankfully Jennifer, my girlfriend / fiance, talked me into watching it and had a good time with it. And as always, still love the special. I also give it a 5. Where can the people find you online, Steve?
Well, if you don't know I'm on Geekcast Radio, something's wrong with you. But you can find me on Twitter at SCP21.
Doug, what about you?
You can find me out. I'm on Twitter at Sprzout, SPRZOUT. You can also find me for talking about my generation out at mygenerationpodcast.com.
And I am at TFU and Mike on Twitter. You can follow at Geekcast Radio for all the other network updates on Twitter, at ToonCast Beyond for all the other show updates on Twitter as well. Be sure to visit, as Doug said, mygenerationpodcast.com and, of course, geekcastradio.com. Unleash the Christmas geek in you, and we will catch you tomorrow when Jen and I will be here to talk about something Doug, his wife, and I just watched. Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
And the Grinch with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. He puzzled and puzzled till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. What happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then, the true meaning of Christmas came through, and the Grinch found the strength of 10 Grinches, plus 2. And now that his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. With a smile in his soul, he descended Mount Crumpet, cheerily blowing hoo-hoo on his trumpet.
Do you like retro cartoons? Then Saturday Morning Rewind is the podcast for you. Join them each month as they talk about classic cartoons and interview legendary voice actors like Jim Cummings.
I am the terror that flaps in the night.
Corey Burton.
Sometimes toys can be so funny.
Rob Paulson.
Sure, Blaine, but how are we going to find chaps our size?
Nancy Cartwright and many more.
Eat my shorts.
So grab a bowl of Lucky Charms.
The magically delicious.
Put on your hammer pants. Go to SaturdayMorningRewind.com. And be prepared to feel like a kid again. Once again, that's SaturdayMorningRewind.com. Saturday Morning Rewind was voted Best Podcast Ever by its host, Tim Nidell. So it's gotta be good.
It's the Christmas season, a time for telling colorful holiday stories. And my favorite story of all time is about my grandma. She had this encounter with a reindeer.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer walking home from our house Christmas Eve. You can say there's no such thing as Santa, but as for Grandpa, we believe.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer, all right. And as incredible as that was, it almost put an end to Christmas. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's go back to the beginning.